everyone, I just wanted to give a little update that I've officially started the first book for today's video, which is Powerful by Lauren Roberts. I read Powerless back in, I think it was like late June, early July, and I didn't love it as much as everyone else did. I feel like everyone else was like 6 stars, obsessed, and I did enjoy it, do not get me wrong, it was still a very good book, but I just feel like I wanted it to be that 6-star read. But obviously Powerful is number 2. It's like a little mini novella between Powerless and Reckless, so that is what we're going to be reading in today's video. I have started it. I am on page 68, which I believe is in chapter 5. Yeah, chapter 5. And this book follows Payden from the first book's friend Adina. They live together in the slums, but obviously Payden gets taken to do the Powerless stuff in Powerless, and this is what Adina is doing at that time, because this book is actually set at the same time as Powerless. Sometimes I do struggle with books that are set in the same timeline as others, because I feel like there's so many crossovers and it's a little bit too similar. But with this one so far, I feel like it's enough of its own story that it hasn't like overlapped too much. Obviously if you've read both of these books, you'll know that they have like vastly different locations, plots and everything like that, and I feel like that is a good thing for the moment, because I just feel like I can read this book without feeling like I'm just repeating myself, because I do get a bit frustrated with like same plot books. But I'm really enjoying it so far. The only thing, and I will say, that is stressing me out just that little bit is the fact that they are mentioning sticky buns in every other chapter. And I know, babe, I know you've been living in the slums, I know you haven't eaten in a week, but can we please just refrain from using the phrase sticky buns for just one more chapter? Because I'm gonna rip my hair out. I can't deal with it anymore. The sticky buns is obviously like a running theme throughout this series. Like, it was mentioned in Powerless quite a bit, and I was like, do I get a break from the sticky buns? And of course it's been mentioned 50 times already, and I'm only on page 69. What can you do about it, babe? I don't know. A little bit frustrating, but I suppose it does, it's one of them things where it's like, it's annoying, but you can't help but laugh. I don't know, I'm enjoying it so far, it's good. I just want to get a little bit further into it tonight. I have actually quite a few hours to just sit and binge this book tonight. I think I'm about to run a bath and get a little bit cozy and just spend the night reading, I think. Maybe, I mean, it is fairly short as well. It is just over 240 pages, so we are hoping to get quite a bit of the way through this tonight, which is good. But I'm going to finish this chapter. I think I've got like 2 more pages, and then I'm going to go and have a bath and read some of this book. I'm so excited. But I'm so in like a fantasy mood now. Obviously as I'm filming this, it's like just end of August, early September, so I'm really excited to just get into that like cozy autumn feel. Can't wait. So I've got to the point in the book now already where our main male character is sort of training Adina. And I love that in fantasy books, where like the strong guy teaches like the weak little girl who doesn't know what she's doing. Like, trains her to be like this boss bitch, and that is exactly the vibes that we need right now. But I'm nearly pretty much halfway through actually, which is quite impressive, and I might end up finishing this in one go pretty much. I did have a very relaxing bath earlier. I did obviously wash my hair, which is why I look like a little rat right now. But yeah, really enjoying this book so far. I do kind of want to see a little bit more of Payden. Obviously as this book does overlap, as the chapters go on, we will be seeing more of her, I suppose. But for now we haven't seen too much of her, and obviously I'm like halfway, so I don't know how that's gonna go. But obviously towards the end of Powerless, things happen. Not gonna say too much, but hopefully we'll see more of her. I don't know, I don't want to say too much just in case. I'm almost wishing that this one was a little bit longer, because as I said, I did enjoy Powerless, but I think I do prefer Adina as like her character and stuff like that. I don't know actually, only because obviously in Powerless, Payden was like the strong protector who went out and she fought for the food. She was the reason that they were able to eat, sleep and stuff like that, because they did live in the slums. And then Adina was the one that sort of like sorted everything out and like actually financed them, because she's the one that makes and sells the clothes. So they had like a mutual sort of like agreement going on. It's interesting to see a little bit more of Adina's side of it. But yeah, that is basically all I have to say. I think I'm going to try and finish this tonight. Mac is really doing it for me at this very point in the book. I'm on page like 103. There's just stuff going on and it's exciting. I wish I could say more, but I literally can't, but it's just fun. I have switched to my Kindle because it is getting late. I'm very nearly finished this book right now. Don't really have too much of an update about the plot. I did obviously say that hopefully towards the end we would see a little bit more of Payden, and it's so hard reading the second in a series and doing a reading vlog because I literally feel like I can't say anything. I feel like I am a little bit more invested in Powerful than I was Powerless, but I think it might have just been because it's a novella. I know that I can get it finished tonight, so I'm like invested and wanting to get it done, but not in like a bad way. I'm enjoying it. I'm literally just going to finish it up now because I do not have long left. I have like less than 50 pages to go, which is amazing. I have finished Powerful. I feel like I've literally been in this same position all evening, but that would be true. I literally read it all in one night, which is insane. I do have some conflicting thoughts on this. Firstly, the positive side of it. I thoroughly did enjoy seeing Adina's side of things. Obviously, as I said, this does take place at the same time as Powerless, and you do get to see a newer version of that story and a different side of that story. However, as good as the ending of this was, and as much as I thoroughly enjoyed seeing Adina's point of view of the ending, I do kind of think that it didn't really add anything else to the actual story. That I'm like, I don't want to call it pointless because that would be a little bit bad, but where this ends up, obviously it had to end where it ended, but I'm like, what was the point then? I don't know, like the whole rest of the book like was fine, but right at the ending I just thought to myself, if it was going to end like this anyway, what's the point? Even though I did enjoy, as I said, her side of things, I enjoyed that side of the story, I enjoyed reading about her and Mac so much, and I feel like that was a great dynamic, but I just don't I don't get it. Like, it was good, I enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, but I just can't say too much. But I think if you've read Powerless, you will know how it ended, and if you read this, you'll know how it ended. And personally, in my humble opinion, I just think you haven't added anything more really to the actual Powerless plot. Speechless is what I am because I don't know what else to say. I don't know. I kind of wish that this was a little bit longer. I feel like I would have got more attached to the characters if it was longer. I think personally I probably would have rather this be the longer book and then Payden and Kai's story be like the shorter book. Even though this is still like very much a book, it's still like nearly 300 pages. However, I think I would have rather have this one been 500 pages. And I just want to say a good congrats to whoever created this cover and this sprayed edge, because it literally is gorgeous and I can't stop staring at it. Good morning everyone. I've actually woken up before everyone else in the house. I had like an early morning this morning for some reason and came into our tavern because I wanted to get some reading done. Didn't want to wake Riley up and everything, so I wanted to start our next book for this video, which is Born to Die by Paige Roper. Paige actually kindly sent me a copy of this book alongside a load of little mini gifts, fan art and stuff like that, which was so very kind of her. Very excited to delve into this because obviously as it is her debut novel, I don't really have any like preconceptions of what this book is going to be about, and I haven't obviously heard too many people talk about it because it is a brand new book, so I'm very excited to let you know my thoughts and stuff like that. It's also a very short book. I think it is under 300 pages, around 250, which is absolutely amazing, so I'm hoping to really enjoy this and probably read it quite quick. I read Powerful literally in a matter of hours, so I'm hoping that this is going to be like that as well. So I'm currently on chapter 4 and already have an update, which is a good sign. What I've just figured out, and something that I think I'm going to really enjoy, is that she already knows that she can travel between two worlds. Because I feel like in fantasy books, when a character figures out that they can do something, obviously you've got to learn that journey with them and stuff, which, don't get me wrong, is fun and it is great, but when they sort of have already established a power or an ability or something like that, it makes them more of like a complex character, because you're like, okay, you know that you can do this, but I don't know that, so what can you do? What are you capable of? And stuff like that. And I feel like because she can switch between the two worlds, what does she get out of going to the other one? It's obviously something significant enough that she wants to go to the other world. So I'm like, what do you need? What do you want? And that's where my thought process is at the moment. I'm just sort of like, what do you gain from this? So I'm very, very excited to see what Dasha does and like how she actually gets between the worlds and stuff like that, if there's different ways to do it or if it's just the one. And yeah, obviously, as I said, only on chapter 4, which is page 16. Quite enjoying it so far. I've quite literally been sat in this position for over an hour reading this book, currently on page 67, which is chapter 11, and I have just got to a point in the book where she's opened up to her current boyfriend about the fact that she can get between two worlds. And obviously, because it's something that's so out of this world, pun intended, he obviously doesn't believe her, so is obviously trying to come to terms with that, but keeps making jokes and laughing at her. But obviously, because she knows how real it is, she's getting annoyed at him for laughing, and it's just like a whole thing. And then they're like on the verge of breaking up, and then it's like a whole thing. But yeah. But in terms of actually reading this book, I am actually having a great time. I can't say that it's going to be like a 5-star read at this moment, but I feel like for a debut novel, this book is a very, very good read. Another thing, it is written in third person, which I normally wouldn't enjoy, but for some reason I've had no issues with this. I don't know if it's because the writing's easy to read or if it's just an easy flow or anything like that, but I didn't even realise it was in third person, and then it clicked in my brain and I was like, oh, I'm reading third person, whereas normally I'm like, oh, third person. But we're fine. We're fine right now. There's something on the roof. Oh my god, I'm terrified. It must be like a fox or a cat. I'm literally nearing to the end of this book. I'm on page 171, so I've got less than 100 pages left. I've done so well with reading so quick recently. I'm just in such a bingey book mood, but I am going to finish this book probably like in one sitting right now. I am very ready to know what happens at the end. I will say there is a character called Nye, and every time I read his name I think of Bill Nye the Science Guy. Bill, 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 Bill. If you went to a British school, you'll know. So, as you just saw, I literally did manage to finish Born to Die in one sitting, which is absolutely crazy. You know that I enjoyed a book when I literally cannot get enough of it. As I said previously though, it isn't actually a 5-star. I just, for some reason, just constantly wanted to know what happened next. The only thing I will say is that going into it, I did think it was more of a fantasy, and I think the best way to describe it is magical realism. So if you take that term and you think of something maybe set in a real world with a little bit of hints of magic, a little hint of power, kind of in like a dystopian kind of way, it is still very much fantastical. Like, you could obviously say that this is a fantasy. It's just that I kind of was expecting it to be a little bit more fantasy vibes. I don't know, I just felt like I was sort of reading about a girl who was living a normal life, and then when she went into the different world, it was still a normal world. It wasn't like magical or anything like that. The only thing fantastical about it was the fact that she had the ability to switch between the two worlds, which I think is why it is more magical realism. But other than that, it was still really, really good. As I said before, as a debut novel, it was really, really good, and I'm really, really happy that I read this book. And as I said, it's quick, it's short, it's sweet. I read it in 2 hours. I'm really, really glad that I read it. And I actually forgot to say, and I did know this going into it, I just decided not to, but it is actually on Kindle Unlimited. It's that for some reason lately I have just been wanting to read physical copies, but I did have the option to read it on my Kindle, and I did end up reading the last like 3 or 4 chapters on my Kindle just to see like how it was formatted and stuff like that, but there was nothing different than like a normal book. But I did very much enjoy this book. So I just want to thank you again, Paige, for sending me a copy of this book, along with the bracelet that you sent, the bookmark, the fan art, the letter, the little bookmark holder and like pen holder that you sent. She sent me loads of gifts, guys, and I could not be more grateful. I didn't feature this book in that video for that reason. I literally just wanted to read it and thought it would be good for this fantasy video, but I'm very, very glad that I read it anyway. So thank you so much again, Paige. This is a great debut novel, and I'm glad that I picked it up. I'm glad that I read it, and also it is signed by her. So when you are a famous author, Paige, I've got your signature and I had it first. But I feel like I can go about my day a little bit now. I've been sat here for the last 2-ish hours, just over 2 hours reading this book. I'm not sure if anyone else is awake yet. As I said, I woke up before everyone else to do this, and I thought I'd come in here because it's just so cozy and dark and perfect for this time of year. I feel like I don't really vlog in here that often because of how dark it is, but the second it gets to like September, October and like that kind of period, I am so ready for sitting in this cozy room because it's just perfect. But I do have a couple of options for what our next book is going to be, but I think I'm going to have a little break and film for another video, and then I'm going to come back to this video, so I will see you then. Hello, hello. It is now time for the third book in this video. So I've said it before, every time I speak about this series on my channel I get a little bit terrified because I never know where to start, and I had like a whole discussion about it with Riley last night, and I've spoke to Ellen about it. It's time. It is time for me to start the Throne of Glass series. So obviously there is that debate going around whether The Assassin's Blade or Throne of Glass is best to read first. And for ages I was 100% convinced that I was going to start with The Assassin's Blade. I was going to get into the Throne of Glass series with the little mini short stories and novellas. However, and hear me out here, I've put polls up on my Instagram story. I've asked everyone that I've known that has read this series. A lot of them have said that they regret reading Throne of Glass first and that they wish they read this first, but I actually have read the first 20 pages of The Assassin's Blade. I couldn't find myself getting into it, and I feel like it's because it's a short story, and I feel like I personally would be better off if I started from the official first book. I spoke to Ellen about it, and even she said she had no choice but to read this one first because she read it literally when it was coming out in publication order. So I don't think that she read this even in the recommended time. I think she read it either 3rd, 4th, 5th, whenever this came out, when they were actually coming out is when she read this. So she always says like it doesn't matter if you don't read it first or not, because she obviously didn't. So I think I'm gonna start with Throne of Glass. I don't want to get screamed at, and I feel really concerned and confused about this decision, but honestly I've been toying with the idea for ages, and Sarah J Maas has obviously come out and said herself that reading The Assassin's Blade 3rd is best. And I was speaking to Riley about it last night, and I said I just don't know. I said I want to start this series right now. I ended up obviously not, because I need to make this decision, and I said, what do you think would be the best decision? I said Sarah J Maas said it's 3rd, and he even said if the author, the person that wrote the story, says 3rd, you should read it 3rd. So I was like, it's just like confusing me. I've heard good things, bad things, I've heard different things for everything. So I think I'm going to start with Throne of Glass. So that is going to be our next book for today's video. I've got like the worst headache. I smacked my head really hard earlier and it wasn't very fun, to the point where I literally cried because I was in so much pain, and I feel like I'm now facing the consequences in the evening. But I have tried to read a little bit more of Throne of Glass, but tonight I did tie up some loose ends with some other vlogs that I was doing, because there was some certain things in them that I like didn't film, like a review of a book for example and stuff like that. So that is done. I'm now done with work for the evening, which is fabulous. I am currently running a bath, which is, I don't know if you can hear that in the background, but I'm then going to settle down and read some more of Throne of Glass tonight. I'm currently on page 40, and obviously when you start reading a new fantasy series, it's going to be confusing. There's words that I have never even comprehended in my life, and there's names and stuff that I'm still getting used to. There's certain things obviously where there's different like roles and stuff, like in the kingdom and stuff, that I don't obviously understand because I don't know these people. I'm like, who are you? But other than that, like, I'm enjoying it. It feels very nostalgic to be back in Sarah J Maas's writing, and to be honest with you, the only thing that I'm like 100% craving right now is to reread Harry Potter. Like, I don't know why. I think because it's September's hit now and I just need to be reading fantasy, I specifically only want to read Harry Potter when I was reading to the same playlist that I was reading Harry Potter to. So I had like this specific soundtrack, and it was like I got in my feels and I was like, oh my god. And that was really, really fun. But it's putting me in like a very autumnal mood right now, and I can't wait. I'm going to run a bath with like a bath bomb, candles, and just be all cozy. And then I'm going to settle down and read my book for the rest of the night, I think, because I'm really in the mood to read tonight. Guys, a man just came up to me and asked if I was a photographer because he saw my camera, and it was a really humbling experience to go, no, I do YouTube. And now I feel a bit embarrassed, even though I'm not embarrassed of the channel, but just saying that out loud is a little bit humbling. Then the lovely man returned for some more questions about my YouTube, but the next clips are going to be really, really loud, so thought I'd put a warning in, so beware, headphone users.
Sorry, I'm very curious what's with the camera. If you don't mind me asking.
No, it's fine. I do book videos.
I like
so
reviews?
I read books, film myself reading them.
Okay. Oh, sorry, are you recording
now? It's fine,
oh.
It's fine, I'll let it out. But yeah, no, just stuff like that really.
Do you do social media stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a bit of everything. Instagram.
Do you have your own business? Or
no, not really. I mean, I've just hit 10,000 subscribers.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So it's slowly like growing and stuff like that, but yeah.
What sort of books do you, what's like a particular genre, or?
This is, yeah, it varies. This is fantasy.
Ella Rose, is that your Instagram?
That's of course all of it, the same thing for everything. Ella Rose reads.
I'm sorry to spill that.
That's alright, don't worry.
I'm really sorry, can I ask you one more question?
Go for it. So I'm back from Starbucks. I managed to read like a couple of chapters when I was in there, but I didn't go like too crazy because there was a man that came up to us and started like making conversation about my booktube and stuff like that. It was actually quite sweet. So hello if you're watching, because I did plug my YouTube. But we did get a McDonald's as well, which is a little bit naughty of me. But I have a couple of hours spare for the rest of the evening, so I just wanted to read a little bit more. As far as actual thoughts go for this, for now, I am very much enjoying the fact that I started with Throne of Glass. I did post, what did I post the other day? My September TBR, and one of the prompts was a read before author, so I obviously decided to go for a Sarah J Maas book because I knew that I wanted to start the series this month anyway. And I picked up The Assassin's Blade and I said, look, I'm either going to start with this or Throne of Glass, but whatever one I decide will be for this prompt. I got quite contradicting comments, to be fair. Most people said that they enjoyed starting with The Assassin's Blade, but someone did say to me, and quite a fair few people did say, if you feel like you're going to get bored or you feel like it would be better to progress into an actual story, then starting with Throne of Glass is better. Even though someone has said to me that if you read The Assassin's Blade third, kind of just are itching to get onto Air of Fire, but it's fine, I've done it this way now and I can no longer go back. So as far as I'm aware, I'm enjoying it this way and I'll never know another way.
Ella, what? We need a serious conversation.
Yeah.
When's the last time we had McDonald's?
Today? This evening? For dinner?
Oh.
Why did you think I was eating some mouldy coat?
Yeah. Let's say, what the hell, bro?
I'm on page 308 of the Assassin's Blade, which is chapter 41. Currently reading it on my Kindle and really enjoying it so far. Planning on finishing it tonight because obviously I've got less than 100 pages left. But I'm getting to the point now in the book where I have like a different kind of point of view, just sort of like sprinkled within each chapter, and it's giving insight to like another plot point of the book and like giving you stuff that you wouldn't normally have like a view on if we didn't have that point of view, for example. Like, it's a vital thing and I'm really enjoying it, which is great. Hello guys, so it is actually a couple of days later now and I needed to do my review for Throne of Glass. The reason I didn't do it straight away when I finished it is because I woke up really early in the morning to finish it and then literally had like the big battle scene, so I didn't want to film anything. I was just like invested in this like trial scene, and then I finished the book and then that was it. And I also just needed a couple of days to think about my opinions and sort of like correlate a kind of review so that I can do it properly. As I was reading this book, I posted my autumn TBR video and my September TBR, and in those videos I mentioned how I wanted to start the Throne of Glass series, but I wasn't sure obviously whether to start with this one or the Assassin's Blade. And obviously I did also mention that in this video, and the amount of comments that have said to me, I wish I started with the Assassin's Blade. And I knew that that was like a newer opinion for like the newer people reading Throne of Glass, but when I spoke to Ellen and she said like I had no choice but to read it in this order, as in the Throne of Glass book first, she seemed to think that this would be fine. And personally I think when I actually get to the Assassin's Blade, I'm probably not going to enjoy it because it's going to sort of like set me back in the story. I'm probably going to want to go straight into Heir of Fire. However, because I'm an emotional person and I want what's best for the characters and stuff like that, reading Throne of Glass third might be the best option because it's more of like an emotional viewpoint into the story. So I feel like I am still happy with this. I do feel like it was a great book to be first in a series. It introduced the world very well. The world building wasn't too confusing, but it was enough. One thing that I did really enjoy about this book was the fact that she was already an assassin. So as much as I love a character figuring out that they can do something or that they have a power, for example, Harry Potter figuring out that he's a wizard, you see that in the first book. Or in ACOTAR when Feyre meets the fairies for the first time and stuff like that. That is fair enough, but this one, she already knew she was an assassin. She already has a past that I don't even know about yet. Like, there's so much that I don't even know, and then that is used for the story. And I like the fact, as much as I love like an introductory, like this is that, and then the main character's like, oh my god, I really enjoyed the fact that it was already sort of like set in stone and she knew that. But I don't know, I did enjoy this book and I think I want to rate it like a 3.5 star because I did enjoy it. It wasn't bad. Like, I feel like that is quite a solid rating. It allows a little bit more room for the rest of the series because I know I'm going to get attached to the characters, and if I rate this one too highly now, it's literally just going to get to that point where I've rated them too highly from the get-go and then there's no room to like rate them any higher, if that makes sense. So I'm going to set this as a solid 3.5 star. Did enjoy it, maybe even a 3.75, and I can't wait to read the rest of the series, and I'm definitely going to read the rest of the series, which is good. I feel like I finally got in there, got involved in Throne of Glass, and you guys can stop screaming at me now to start the series because I've done it. I have started the series and I probably am going to get hated on for starting on this one, but I don't really care. Everyone has their own preference, guys, and that's okay. But that is everything for today's video. I hope you did enjoy me reading fantasy. I feel like fantasy is one of them genres where I either read a load of it at once or I don't read it at all. And obviously because the spooky season started now, I definitely wanted to get into more fantasy books, which is good. So if you did enjoy this video, then give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see me read more fantasy books or any fantasy books specifically, then let me know as well. Leave them down below and I will hopefully see you in my next one. Love you guys lots. Bye.